Well, change of pace now, and it is racing season, and with it comes the latest in fascinators and frocks.
And that's just the blokes. I mean, the women. To take us through the latest trackside looks, we're joined by fashion writer Paddy Huntington. Paddy, welcome.
Good morning.
Actually, Nick told us earlier that they are expecting to be a damp day on Cup Day. Now, that is problematic, isn't it? Particularly for the women, and we were talking about this earlier with, if you're going to wear high heels and so on.
You wear at the lawn. It is. Look, it's a beautiful when the weather's great. It's fabulous. You know, the sun's out, the roses are out. When it's raining, it's completely miserable. But look, if you're in one of the marquees, or you try and marquee hop, but yeah, and it's so it takes you sort of a good half hour to get there and back, and the crowds and stuff. So, look, that's just the luck of the draw. I mean, it's no one can predict the weather. But,
well, the weather yesterday was stunning down at Flemington for Derby Day. That often sets the trend, if you like, for the fashion trends. What were you seeing yesterday from the ladies in the marquees and attending?
Well, look, not surprisingly, because it's one of the biggest trends in fashion at the moment, and that is what we call off the shoulder, although it's actually extended into winter in the Northern Hemisphere, and they're calling it the cold shoulder look. So that is dresses with shoulders sort of peeking through, straps below down sort of on the arms, and I mean that was by far the biggest trend. We saw that everywhere, and I mean a big trend from last year, which was the bell sleeve, the sort of elongated sleeves, which actually is a trend there's an Australian designer, Kim Ellery, at the forefront of that. We saw a lot of that as well, and something else. I'm calling it the extreme fascinator, although there's another term called the hattinator, and that is a hat crossed with a fascinator. So really quite sort of elaborate headpieces that some of them almost look like orthopaedic devices.
Or at least you would require orthopaedic attention
afterwards.
After having worn it.
Well, I've worn actually really large hats afterwards. I felt like I needed a chiropractor afterwards. Because you're there from about 11 in the morning until sort of 3 in the afternoon. It's a long time. But there was like the fascinators or the headpieces are getting more and more elaborate. People are kind of trying to outdo each other. Some of them look like they're sort of quite aerodynamic, that you might take flight if there was a gust of wind.
Now, we just saw at the one shot there's a fair bit of flesh on show. Now,
that's right.
Is that would we be seeing that overseas at Royal Ascot?
Well, interestingly, the off-the-shoulder trend that was everywhere yesterday at Flemington is actually banned in certainly the Royal enclosure at Royal Ascot, where you're not allowed to have off-the-shoulder, strapless, or spaghetti straps. I mean, there's a dress code for the VRC as well, and for the members' enclosures, but it doesn't. I double-checked it because someone suggested that perhaps shoulders were a no-no, but it's not the case. So, but they had to sort of up their dress code a couple of years ago at Royal Ascot because people were just sort of, it was sort of
bearing a bit much.
That's
for
right.
The Queen.
Yeah, when you talk about a dress code, you've also got consideration of those commercial obligations that restricts certainly some celebrities from wearing various designs. That was an issue last year, wasn't it?
It was a massive issue last year, and I'm not sure there's ever been a year when it was. I mean, you had Hilary Swank, who came, a very famous American actress who came out for Derby Day, and photos of her holding the Melbourne Cup were reportedly vetoed by the VRC because she was wearing a designer that was not from one of their major sponsors, that's Myer. I mean, they pay something of $2 to $5 million a year in sponsorship, and in their contracts, I mean, newspapers were sort of turning up the contracts and the fine print, and it says, people who are associated with sort of big photo opportunities and Flemington and the Melbourne Cup can't be wearing a competitor's brand. It came to a head on Melbourne Cup Day when Jessica Mauboy was going to sing the national anthem, and look, this obviously wasn't sorted out beforehand, and she was wearing an outfit, head-to-toe outfit, an Italian brand, Dolce & Gabbana, which isn't sold at Myer. And there was a big sort of argument backstage, and look, she later said it sort of triggered an anxiety attack, and she had to pull out, and her backup singer took over. So, I mean, these sorts of things are things that are well ironed out at the Olympics. It hasn't happened at the Olympics for a very long time, this kind of ambush marketing. Whether it's deliberate or not, I don't know, but there certainly seems to be, there wasn't anything like that yesterday, but there also weren't any really big celebrities, I've got to say. Maybe they've been spooked.
Well, they're very thin on the ground for
very
this
thin
Cup
on the ground
season, aren't they? What's behind that?
Well, look, I think there's a few things. Possibly that people just are a bit twitchy about being told what they can and can't wear. I don't know. I think also the money is a big issue. I mean, they're very expensive. There was a lot of talk about a Kardashian, not Kim Kardashian, but perhaps Kendall Jenner coming out. And certainly last weekend I was at the Adelaide Fashion Festival and her stylist was supposed to be there and she pulled out at the last minute. There's sort of some suggestion that in the wake of the robbery in Paris that sort of there's been a veto on travelling for the Kardashians. Usain Bolt is about the biggest name I've heard so far. He's supposed to be making an appearance on Oaks Day. But I mean, obviously a lot of Australian celebrities, but just no big international names.
Assuming he's not running. He could probably,
That's right, he might be running.
He may well give the horses a run for their money. Now, we should turn our attention to the blokes.
Yeah.
Well, what are they wearing?
Well, I thought it was interesting yesterday. We saw a lot of window pane check suits. Like there was guy after guy after guy wearing these suits. So it was quite interesting to see. I mean, there are dress codes for men as well. I mean, they have to sort of wear a suit. No one's allowed to wear jeans, obviously. Certainly not in the members' enclosures. But I thought that was interesting. In a lot of the photos, you saw this window pane check. Very smart.
Very smart indeed. Now, what's the park? It's an area which is, well, you can tell us about it.
Well, it's a 10,000 square metre precinct, which is supposed to be, it's free for entry, and it's fashion, food, entertainment. They put the Fashions on the Field marquee there this year, or yesterday, and some people are sort of thinking that it's a bit, they're trying to sort of marginalise Fashions on the Field, which has been associated with the event, I think it was since 1962. So some people aren't happy about that. Fashions on the Field has always been right next to the track, not far from the horses racing, but it's been moved back to this precinct. I'm not quite sure what's happening there, but some people aren't happy about it. And look, it's just supposed to be something that, there's sort of beauty parlours, lots of entertainment and lots of places to eat. So just kind of, I guess, upping the entertainment quotient.
Patty, as always, thank you and happy race going.
Thanks.
Thanks, Patty.